All right, gather around, boys. That was a tough one out there on the Rift today. Sometimes you lose game one in a series, but it's halftime. We got to reset the mental and get ready for game number 2. Now, Coach Soul Strikes is going to come in here. Give a couple thoughts, give a couple words of inspiration for everybody. All right, so I want full attention to Coach Soul Strikes. He's calling in right now. Let's get him on the line.
All right, thanks, assistant coach. All right,
Of course.
this is the start of a Super Week, and we're against CLG and Coach Troops.
Yeah.
Bit of a rivalry going on between him and I, because we're both from us.
Boys.
So Philip, focus on your laning phase. Let's show Big Dose what we got. We know we've been practicing hard for the last 9 weeks as a team, so keep that going.
Mm-hmm.
And UG, start showing some regression in the jungle and assassinate Roston in the jungle whenever you have a chance to. Whenever you have a chance.
Lazy head.
And Sparix, Tomo, and Diamond, we all know we just cannot lose to triple Stephen Lee.
Who's named Steven?
We have to make sure we win, so we have some bragging rights against that guy.
Yeah.
I hate seeing his, a big fat smile. So let's just get the stub.
No pearly whites.
I just want to see that we play as a team, we move as a team, we win or lose as a team. So let's showcase some greatness on some of this Rift, guys.
Thank you, Coach Soul Strikes. We're going to showcase greatness, but he might be comfortable with the loss, okay, as long as we're playing together. That's not going to roll with me, all right, guys? So I need every last effort you have on the Rift today. FlyQuest on 3. 1, 2, 3, FlyQuest! Now send it back to the casters as we get ready for game number 2. And welcome back, everybody. After a great speech from Coach Soul Strikes right there from FlyQuest Academy. A rough one, as that game was in their grasp, it felt like. But CLG brought it back right at the very end. That one came down to the wire, guys.
That was insane. That game, it was pretty much both teams playing out their comps. We had the split push from a CLG. We had the team fight comp from FlyQuest. It was starting to work for FlyQuest, where they were having these team fights work out, where the split push couldn't be attempted because now you had a more even playing field for the side of FlyQuest that Dokla wasn't comfortable going into the side lanes. Then they threw the Hail Mary play, and everything went out the window for FlyQuest.
Yeah, I mean, Cubby identified it a couple of times. There's nothing left for Dokla to take. Like, what's he going to do? Run at the Nexus towers while Philip's defending underneath them? Like, we saw what happened last time he tried to do that. You can't actually kill the Aatrox through the Nexus turret damage. So we got to this point where CLG couldn't do enough in a side lane. Baron was up. FlyQuest was playing around with these clumps and finding a couple picks, finding the J4 hard engages that were setting up the team fights. But at the end there, Cubby, CLG, they still, between Triple and Dokla, kept their eyes on the prize, and they just hard committed to the side lane, and picking Tomo at the end was crucial.
Well, you know what? 3 is a charm, right? The first time we kill the Aatrox, we don't get any of the Nexus turrets. The second time, we take both Nexus turrets, lose the TF, and then the third time, we take the game. And honestly, I think that was a good tell about, like, some of the strengths and shortcomings of 1-3-1s, because we did see at a point in time, when you take that bot inhibitor, Dokla had nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. He wasn't able to keep on pushing his advantage in the bot side, and FlyQuest were able to recover really nicely. But once they got baited back out onto the map, when you lose Nexus turrets like that, it makes it really difficult to get your team on the map, because when you're against, like, Fiora, Twisted Fate, they can attack inhibitors, Nexus, like the Nexus, so quickly. And I think we saw a couple instances there where FlyQuest just got a little bit tripped up and kind of figuring out how to defend that. That, I think, is why Tomo ended up getting caught. And that's why FlyQuest, in the end, ended up dropping that game to CLG in what was a really back and forth, I think, decently played game from each team. While there were some mistakes, I think both teams had a really good idea of how to play out their comp. And I want to see if we see something similar in this next game, if FlyQuest opt to match more of the split push, even though that's not quite their style. I'm really curious to see what kind of adjustments we see going into game 2.
I have a background in a little bit of mathematics, so I'm going to break this one down into a fraction. 1/5 of that game was CLG's bot lane and jungle holding the line. 1/5 of that game was Triple jumping in, TF ulting to wherever Dokla was, and 3/5 of that game was literally just Dokla on Fiora pushing side lanes. And the whole early game as well, you saw what he was doing in 1v2, 1v3 scenarios, sometimes maybe overextending a little bit, but at least getting a 1-for-1 every single time. And then when he's just distracting 1v4, 1v5 while the team's taking Baron, that happened twice in that game where CLG were able to sneak a Baron away because of what Dokla got done in the side lane. hopefully we can pull up a replay of the very last moments, because we were all, as a viewer, I know that you casters were also paying attention to it, what Dokla and Triple were doing in the bottom lane, but Tomo getting picked at the red buff, that's what I identify as the end of the game. Like, once he's down, that's the team for FlyQuest. If he had been able to back and regroup with the team under the Nexus, maybe they have a chance of defending. It's hard to tell, but I'd love to see the positioning and what went wrong for FlyQuest, because consistently CLG were just confusing them. Right, Magical? Yeah. I mean, we said this a couple of times as well. Like, CLG just running them around the map, and FlyQuest were always responding like, where do we go?
Truly counter logic.
I mean, yes, but I'm also wondering if what had happened was that Tomo got surprised by how quickly Dokla had wrapped around to flank him. Because if you look at the positioning, they were all there just a couple minutes ago. Again, I'd like to see the replay because I wasn't hard focused on that. I was more hard focused on Triple and Dokla. And then when he panned up, I'm like, wait, why is Tomo there? I was exactly with you guys. But I have a theory that the reason why he was there is that he was with his team. They were all peeling back for the dragon at that moment. But the problem was that he wasn't quick on rotating around. So he flipped over the wall right to Dokla, and he's like, wait, why are you here? And then died.
It could be. It could be. We might not have a chance to actually view the replay because we're trying to get quickly into the next games as well. So there's a chance we'll never know. There's a chance that Tomo will take that to
leave it up
grave.
to a Reddit analyst, you know?
Yeah, we'll leave it to the Reddit. And if somebody wants to go back and check the VOD, I'm sure that we'll go back and check the VOD at some point as well to give our thoughts. Because literally, that was a very clear example of team fight team versus split push team. And there were so many moments where FlyQuest were finding those team fights. That J4, I want to give props to Yuji and extra props to Spyrex on this Ahri. An incredible performance, Cubby. This Ahri was keeping them in the game, finding so many picks in these big team fights. And Prismal just couldn't play the game because there's always an Ahri on top of him.
And I think that this is, still a good sign for FlyQuest. I know that they are our ninth place team, but we do have to, talk about moving into Proving Grounds to kind of how the team looks. And I think that coming into the season, FlyQuest were really kind of slept on for some of the pieces they picked up to put around Tomo Diamond, the returning bot lane. They went with two of the most exciting solo queue prospects in Yuji and Spyrax, just based on rank, based on what they've been able to do on solo queue, and especially in the case of Yuji, across the world in solo queue. Thinking about the Ionian super server, like
on 150 ping.
Yeah, like from Mongolia. I mean, they put their ships in solo queue. And I think that we are starting to see that as these players get rounded out into more competitive talents, we are starting to see some of that pull off. I think that Yuji, a lot of credit goes to him and how he's able to kind of run Rosethorn around the map in the first clear. I think that him showing top at the right time prevented Philip from going down earlier. He bought time for his scaling comp to get online. And in the end, it was just that I think that Herald play really hurt the side of FlyQuest early. I think it was a really good setup from CLG and Rosethorn. And if you give Doku a lead, he just runs with it.
Yeah, and I just did a couple quick math things right there. I was probably not paying full attention.
Okay.
He went to the lab?
I did go to the lab. Eventually,
all right.
There.
So give it to us, Magical.
In the first half, the first round robin, FlyQuest were 6-12. Not really that great of a start to the season. So most of the losses that they had was from the beginning part. The second half, they're 5-7, which still isn't great. You make it 5-8 after this last game. But the fact is, they have definitely improved. They've definitely shown growth as a roster because a lot of those wins they even got in the first half split, or the first half of the round robin, was towards the end. But it wasn't even at the very beginning. In fact, they started off the season 0-6. Took them until that second day when they finally found a 2-0 win. They didn't start off very well and have been slowly growing as a roster, and we can see that from that last game. You see how they were able to find an identity that works for them. The only problem was it just kind of fell apart at the very, very end.
Very end. And we've talked to the team a couple times in different player interviews. One of the players I've interviewed twice now is Diamond. Both times he's talked about the communication style of the team and how he is the primary shot caller. He's often the one that's bringing everybody together, saying, hey, this is what the game plan is. This is our lane assignment. This is where I want everyone to be. And he's kind of the general corralling the troops, which makes sense when you think about his experience on the roster compared to all these younger players or solo queue players that have this mechanical skill, but maybe don't have the strategy involved to play at the academy level. And Diamond is now going to these picks. This is his, I believe, second game. Cubby, you might have a better insight of that. At least a second game on the Zillion.
It's his third.
And these are champions at third game. All right, there we go. So these are champs that allow him to, focus more on the strategy and positioning of the team rather than highly mechanically intensive champion, or even the primary engage. Let Yuji be that primary engage, because he likes to do that. He likes to be the one that goes in. But it's also really tough when, you know, you have to be with a team and you're also shot calling a split push comp that's trying to push into your Nexus. There's so many variables going on there. So it's awesome to see the growth of FlyQuest Academy. Hopefully they have more in the tank here, because CLG are still looking at that first place spot, Cubby. And I am hearing that we're ready for Pick a Ban. So I'm going to pass it back over to Magical and Cubby to take us away for game number 2.
Thank you so much, Kangas. We'll see you after this game for a lovely interview with the winning team. But we got to get into this game. After how close that first game was, I'm curious to see how this draft is going to go for the second time around. I actually expect there's going to be a lot of changes, because I think both teams realized difficulties. The Fiora for Dokla, but also the Zeri for Tomo. These were issues that they both had to deal with when it came to the later stages of the game. It just happened to be that Tomo got picked at the very end that allowed CLG to find victory.
And I think that this is also an important game because, you know, we've been talking about the race for top 6 for the side of FlyQuest. They need to win out just to have a chance. The odds of them being in the play-in stage right now are incredibly high, and they go to 100% if they do drop this game. Now, the race for first, CLG, they're now tied in wins with Golden Guardians, have a chance to eclipse them, which is important because they face Golden Guardians tomorrow. So that's the way that they control their own destiny the most. And also C9 dropped game 1 against Immortals on the other stream. So they were the team chasing them. CLG now has 2 games in between C9 and themselves, and trying to create space, trying to re-solidify themselves as that top dog headed into Proving Grounds. And that was a good look from CLG. I think that was a good mix of them returning to what has given them so much success in the season, but also that was some creative problem solving in the end. Once they overextended, we saw how fed FlyQuest got. That death ball came online. CLG did not have a comp to deal with that in the 44, but they were able to find solutions to keep on playing the sides, stick to their win con, and were able to sneak out the Nexus in the end as they go up a game, and we're about to get into game 2.
And I'm excited for this one. Whenever I have a close game 1 like that, I'm always more excited for the next game. Be it best of 2, 3, 5. I always want to see how teams regroup going into a loss that was so close for FlyQuest's sake, or a win for CLG's sake, because we'll see what they do to adapt, if they change anything. Because at the moment, going into this draft, they haven't changed anything as of yet.
And I would not be surprised if we actually see a very familiar setup. I think that I have a hunch we might see a Fiora ban coming in, Bad Magical. Maybe we see that dropped, or that Thresh ban dropped and Fiora Camille taken away instead. I would not be surprised if FlyQuest ran this back, because if we think back to the early game and what FlyQuest wanted, did they go down early? Yes, but were FlyQuest still in a position where they had the scaling composition and had legitimate chances to win that game? I would absolutely believe so. And it looks like FlyQuest are going to go back to the same, at least opener with the Zeri as Dokla, having some fun hovering the Aatrox himself. Last time around, we did see CLG respond with Aphelios and Viego. We'll see if they repeat again here.
Watching that, seeing if that's going to be the final lock-in for them.
I think it's just some friendly ban.
I think
that's
for sure.
I think that's what the hover is.
That's like I didn't think that the Aatrox had any merit to it on the side of Dokla, but the Ahri takeaway for triple, Spyrex was huge in that game, and was someone that I was looking towards to possibly setting up those fights and carrying FlyQuest to victory.
So also in the last game, it was a bit of a takeaway from Spyrack, or Rose, I should say Triple, as Triple is 5-2 on the Ahri, and it is his most played since he was able to get over here, of course, a little bit late compared to the rest of our mid laners. But Triple has also been very good. This does open up counter pick for Spyrax. We've been seeing this be the most popular counter into Ahri even after the nerfs. It's going to be the return of the Vygar.
And you know I love Vygar.
You're excited.
I'm very excited for that one. Even if I play him as a support, I still love seeing him played into counter matchups like this Ahri. But Yuji also taking away a champion. So we have both sides taking away what they saw on the opponents. So taking the Ahri for triple, and then taking the Viego for Yuji.
And I really love this mid-jungle duo already for FlyQuest, because you have that upfront damage in the Vygar. All you need is just to give Ahri a love tap, and then she falls. I was actually looking for the Tom Kench here to save someone from the Vygar burst or a ultimate coming out of the Viego, but it will be a Thresh for Breezy. Now, This does open up Breezy. Something that Breezy's done very well that you highlighted earlier, Mad Magical, was roaming on the map, especially roaming to help his solos, roaming to help Dokwa get ahead on the top side. Thresh does open that up for CLG if they want to attack other parts of the map.
Cubby, so I have a thought process.
Okay.
What if Dokla picks Tom Catch? And the reason why I say that, we haven't seen it in Academy, but I was doing some research on the Proving Grounds, and he's been a fairly decent top laner. He's been picked up a fairly decent amount of times for top laners trying to make sure they have that additional safety net.
That was before the changes
No,
they
even
made
recently. I saw some recent ones too. I was actually surprised by that. I was like, wait a minute, I thought he got changed and wasn't in top lane. This was as of like 2 weeks ago.
I have a feeling that Dokwa's got to go for a hard split pusher. And I have a feeling that Fiora is going to get taken away from him here. So he might get put onto something like Jax Sorelli if it is going to be that Aatrox matchup again.
Oh.
Actually, going to be the Jace takeaway. So maybe that's setting up Philip to blind a Renekton this time instead. Then again, the Camille ban, that's more something that you're taking for Zeri. I mentioned Renekton as that has been one of the most played champions by Philip.
Right.
And now, with the top lane bans going towards Dokwa, jungle pool was untouched, so Xin Zhao, high priority jungler, going over Rosethorn. Now we'll have to see how FlyQuest rounds this out.
Models, probably a good pick for the side of Diamond, because Blitzcrank, unfortunately, was banned. I'm sad about that. I just wanted to see a Blitzcrank.
A proper ban.
Rafa gets to cast all the damn Blitzcrank games, and I don't get a single one, Cubby!
You know what? We'll just have to rocket grab you for one of those. And maybe Rafa's eating the real consequence because his power's out at the moment.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what you get for, when you mess with Blitzcrank. The silence comes in for your internet. It's not great.
Maybe that could be it. As I do like the Nautilus pickup nonetheless. Like you said, it's a really good pick into Ahri. And looking at what Philip is, he gets that Gragas. I know you're excited for it, but I just never am. I know.
Really like Gragas blind. I think it's a really tough
good
pick to deal
blind,
with.
But it's just so boring.
Now, some of the counter picks we have seen, Dokwa could unironically play the Aatrox here. If he wants to go for a firmer side lane, he could take the Fiora again. But I think that FlyQuest this time around have a lot more options in how to attack the side of CLG, given the Nautilus instead of the Zillion. And they've built a comp where it is all about getting Viego that first reset. And with a Vigar, you have Nautilus hooks, dredge lines, depth charge. You have Gragas combos to put people in the cage. This is going to be really difficult for CLG to deal with in the 5v5 again. And I think that given the draft that CLG has, it is very important that they get off to an early start. Because if they do not have a lead come 15 minutes, these team fights are going to be very difficult for them to navigate.
A good event horizon from Spyrax can split the fight completely. Because we look at what CLG have, they have a bunch of dashes. And guess what? Baby Cage, it loves dashes because you dash right into it. You can't just blink over the walls.
And for the side of CLG, I think that given the timer that they find themselves on, I really want to keep our eyes out for Rosethorn, Triple, Breezy. Are they able to work together? Are they able to get out on the map and try and impact the jungle matchup? Try and impact this bot lane matchup to get Prismo ahead? I think that Dokwa in the Graves versus Gragas lane is going to be a little bit more left to his lonesome, a little bit more self-sufficient. So I think this could be a very different game in the sense that CLG, they have split push options, but not like super hard, like full commit split push options like the Fiora. And I think that CLG has a couple more ways that can be controlled in these team fights by FlyQuest, who have committed even harder into this death ball with something like a Nautilus. So want to see if Diamond's able to, help pull that off, help steady the storm a little bit more for FlyQuest, and make sure they get on into the 5v5 on even more even footing this time around.
Honestly, that's what I am looking at. I really do like this adaptation from FlyQuest because their strength in the last game was playing.
I think it was a nice swap.
It was playing the death ball, as you talked about. This fully commits that style for them, where they can have all 5 members join in. And an interaction people don't even realize is Event Horizon with a dredge line. You can dredge line pull someone into that stun immediately.
Same with the cast.
The cast, too, can bounce them all in. There's a lot of tools FlyQuest has set up. So going into the second game between FlyQuest Academy and CLG Academy, we have to keep our eyes on the full commitment death ball from FlyQuest. The possibility of Rosethorn, Triple, and Breezy ganging up together early on into the game, get Prismal these early kills.
And I think that we could potentially see a split map scenario here for Rosethorn on the top side. As Triple playing the Sari, you do gain control over the wave early in this matchup. And same with the Graves. We could see Rosethorn try and go for something. I don't think a late invade is going to be in the cards, but we could see him go red and cross map if Yuji doesn't start on the top side, as I think he should. Try and get his top lane camps first before they come under threat against Rosethorn. So that is something that FlyQuest has to be careful about, and really have to keep our eyes on the CLG. If they don't have a lead at 15 minutes, this game is incredibly difficult for them to win. So very important that they are able to make these early plays, utilize the power of the solo lanes that they have in the very early game, and run with that to get more as the game goes on.
Right now, both junglers are starting on the top half of the map. This is an advantage for Yuji, as you talked about. Doesn't necessarily have to worry about the skirmishing potential that can come in from his Zhao. You can clear up safely, try to clear out as best he can. And I'm curious to see, because Yuji is a player who likes to play aggressively, similar to Chad. And this is the reason I bring him up. Because playing this Viego, whenever I see Chad from Immortals play this champion, always level 3 to level 4 ganks. I'm curious to see if Yuji will do the same.
Currently, it looks like both junglers passing towards bot, much like the last game. As this is expected. I think that, leaving Gragas on his lonesome top makes sense. Graves will win this slowly over time, but Gragas going to always be useful in the team fights. But we'll see if Rosethorn is able to get involved early in these lanes, because if he does break this bot lane, I think that's the big target this time around for CLG, slowing down that Zeri.
Oh.
And you can see already Rosethorn gonna have to burn that trinket. Does go over to the side of FlyQuest. Oh,
they're trying to steal it over the wall. Someone was looking for that, but a nice hook from Breezy. Rosethorn is on the other side. Ignite comes through, hitting the dash from Tomo. They got his own flash.
Oh.
There's the flash, but look who's on the other side. It's Triple. So they have
Triple.
to fight. They have to make sure they're engaging. The charm
wait,
went
he's
wide.
caught.
Triple had to flash back, but now the damage comes in from Yuji. They got first blood on the other side, but they lost 2 in the fight. FlyQuest come out with the victories, and they're even flashing in with Event Horizon, but Tomo will die. Rosethorn picks it up, but it's traded back to Vigar.
and this is a huge win for the side of FlyQuest, and it all comes from Triple getting caught in rotation. The full commit from Yuji. A lot of credit goes over the jungler of FlyQuest. He's able to identify, if I stop Ahri from joining the fight, we can turn this around in the long haul as we get a second look. Rosethorn not connecting with the wind beyond lightning when Tomo flash. That is important, because now Tomo gets to live. The charm goes wide from Triple. He's caught out in rotation thanks to a beautiful play from Yuji. And from here, FlyQuest win out on the fight. Credit to Rosethorn for trading this back in the end, as he was going to die either way. But that's a really tough early game for CLG, because they have to get ahead in order to have any chance of fighting against FlyQuest. And that is a huge play from Yuji to really set CLG behind.
Plus a kill onto Spyrex, a kill onto Tomo, 2 assists for Zeri as well. Their carries are in a great spot right out of the gates for the side of FlyQuest.
And a lot of that, we've seen CLG have so many good 3-wave plans throughout the season, but this is another one where for Rosethorn matching the clear, Yuji gets the best of him in the bot river. Second game in a row, different jungle matchup. But real credit to Yuji, as I think really punishing the commit from CLG, very important for the side of FlyQuest, as they're sitting pretty, just keeping things even in this early game. The longer that this game goes, the more powerful this Vigar Zeri you're going to get compared to the counterparts of CLG, and that spells really good news for FlyQuest.
24, 25 stacks now for Spyrex. He got one right there with that Q. I'll keep my eyes on that one, since as a Vigar player, always looking to see how many stacks someone gets in a game.
I got confused. I thought you were talking about CS.
Oh, no, not at all. Yeah, I mean, it was close.
You care about the stacks.
I care about minions. Who cares about that? I'm a support player, man.
And look at some of the consequences of this early skirmish. Breezy's level 2 taking this fight.
Yeah, but that was a good hook. The flash in, kill
Oh my God.
for Prismal. Even though Tomo's getting a lot of damage back, that is a big pickup for the bot lane of CLG.
Oh my gosh, that is a lot of over-aggression coming out from FlyQuest, as we talked about the importance of getting this Aphelios Zeri ahead. Let's take a second look. Breezy is down 2 levels when this trade starts. And it's Prismal forcing Tomo out, and then them just being able to focus the Nautilus. Zeri can't help with the skirmish, with the trade at this point, so Diamond just loses his health bar. Really well played by CLG, and a big mistake is by FlyQuest. They get over aggressive, and CLG, they fight back.
The fact that Prismal got that kill too, while having a Call Longsword and Doran's Blade compared to a Sheen from Tomo and components out of Diamond is huge. It gets them a little bit of a level lead back over Tomo and Diamond and puts them in a position where before it was Tomo with the lead, where he looked massive. 1, 1, and 2 to start off the game. Prismal is one better. He hasn't died yet.
And Prismal is... His Aphelios is now 8-3. It's his most played in Academy. He is going to be so important in this game because CLG has to hit this early mid-game spike hard. I think that Prismal is the member that CLG has to focus with something like an early Rift Herald, utilize that top lane priority, get that objective, and this time funnel it into your marksman because CLG really has to accelerate the pace of this game early, take those early turrets with your marksman, get them rotating around the map, try and take away the space for FlyQuest, and attack them in the skirmishes like you were able to do last game, utilizing the power, early power of the draft that you have selected.
Right there, Rosethorn deals a bit of chicken nuggets from UG.
That's big.
There's a little bit of damage on triple or stacks for this Vigar as they run away.
Diamond does have the Hex Flash, not the Flash, wasn't able to follow up there on triple, who is able to get the full health thanks to the help of some plants. And you can see CLG, the danger at the moment for FlyQuest. What CLG is looking to do once again, attack bottom lane, utilize the already get mid lane priority, and just hover bot. You can see Diamond trying to fight over some of that terrain, wasn't able to get it, had to return bot. And with that bot wave being shoved in, this does open up the window for CLG to take this first dragon. Another big key in them accelerating the game. And the fact that it is the Cloud Dragon first, does guarantee they are going to get a good soul.
Exactly. I mean, don't be so harsh on Cloud Dragon, man.
You know what? I'm being real harsh. We're sending it to the dumpster, man.
Like with Chemtech?
Hextech Soul last game, that was way more powerful than Cloud, you know?
Wait, are we sending Cloud Soul to the dumpster with Chemtech?
Oh, not like that. Not like that. Not like that.
Not like that. So it will still live in the game, just be miserably depressed.
I mean, Chemtech still lives in the game too. It's going to be in season 2 of Arcane, obviously. The underworld, you know, they got some issues down there.
But how does that relate?
You saw Singed. He's doing the experiments. All right. We'll keep it focused on the game.
Have you ever seen that meme with the one lady calculating things and like trying to figure out? That's me right now. I'm just trying to.
Okay.
I thought that was stolen by Spyrex for a second. I thought he was able to get the event horizon, locking one into the baby cage. UG will escape from that one with the eye.
Well, while for the first time in our Academy regular season, I was getting Mad Magical lost with the reference. We did have Rift Herald taken cleanly by FlyQuest.
No, I got the reference. It was just I was having a hard time understanding how it would work in Arcane. Okay? It's that I understood what you said. It's just about figuring out where it placed in it.
All right, I'm getting Alex lost. I like that. I think it's really important, though, that FlyQuest did take away this first Rift Herald. I still think that Rift Herald is the better objective of the two in the early game, especially for what CLG wants to do. Going to give the ability for FlyQuest to fight back with some plates. And I think importantly enough, they didn't lose anything significant while they were taking that. The bot lane of CLG was on a reset. So really good play from FlyQuest to take that Rift Herald for free. And this will be able to assist. Likely Tomo is who you want to funnel again, as we saw how difficult Zeri is to deal with the later stages of the game. Might as well get her started early.
I agree. Looking at it too, likely ahead in gold compared to Prismal, even though Prismal is, like I said before, one better with the lack of death on the Aphelios, but it's the fact that you make up for it with this CS that Tomo's been able to pick up in the bot lane, despite a little bit of the turmoil they had suffered from that pick from Breezy.
And you can see FlyQuest now might
Rush.
be looking...
Oh, Baby
That's a
Cage
flash.
forcing a flash. That's a nice flash from Triple, but it's a nice way to get out that summoner.
Really appreciate the setup from FlyQuest. I think that a part of this, Mad Magical, is also some of the consequences that we're still seeing from that bot lane skirmish. Yuji, up a level, up in camps. He is able to move around with Diamond, try and pressure the side of CLG. We wanted to see this Ahri get push and try and get out of lane to snowball the sides of CLG that do have push and priority. But that has not been able to happen yet this game. And that is a lot of credit due to FlyQuest taking that skirmish they won on the bot river and turning it into more.
I'm looking at that and whether or not they're going to do that. Currently, Breezy is playing the style that we know him for. leaving this bot lane, rotating elsewhere to make plays mid lane, make plays top lane.
It hasn't quite been able to find anything, as it has been Diamond, despite that 1-2 and 1 score line. It has been at least forcing out the flash of triple. Is going to slow down the game plan of CLG, and we do have to pause as the top river. Looks like Rosethorn was able to get away that crab. You can still see Yuji is up 2 levels in this jungle matchup.
Wow.
And if Rosethorn wraps around here, he could be found out.
Yeah, they spotted him at the moment.
Okay.
People sees that Yuji's nearby since that stealth had gone away. Just okay with it. He's going towards the bot lane, or he's feigning it. Pixel Brush has a ward. They know he's still there.
I think that Yuji's trying to throw down this Rift Herald mid, and you have each jungler kind of posturing to try and set this up as the Rift mid. So the nice part for FlyQuest, it just kind of injects some gold into the Veigar, but also if you are able to win a team fight or take the second Rift Herald, that does guarantee you the mid outer turret. So I think that would be a decent look, and the other option for Yuji to throw it mid. Now, I think the true goal is to put it bot, and FlyQuest has built up a slow push. They do have Yuji rotating over, and you can see CLG's response to this is just Dokla getting some dirty farming in.
I mean, this is kind of what we expect from Dokla. Even if it's not as aggressive as that Fiora previously, still getting advantages in the top lane. That gold differential at 14 is pretty big for the side of Dokla. Bot lane, that's the Rift Herald. Getting a charge, giving some gold over to Yuji and Tomo.
Yeah, it's not a turret or, you know, anything significant like
Just
that.
play
But
gold.
I mean, we talked at in the early game, right? We are 12.5 minutes into the game. I said early on, if this game is on even footing at the 15-minute mark, it is difficult for CLG to win. And that is exactly what FlyQuest are doing. Winning that bot lane skirmish put them in the position to be able to slow down the pace of this game, prevent CLG from finding these angles where they can get mid-push and try and snowball that into a dive bot, into Dragons. FlyQuest, they have successfully slowed things down. And I think that really benefits them moving forward.
115 stacks on Spirax. Just, you know, letting everyone know that's how many stacks he has at the moment. Not very much mana to work with. That's why this fight is attempted by CLG, but now they're locked in the baby cage. I had to flash over to escape. With the charm connecting on the other side, they don't follow it up. It's going to be the follow-up going on to Rose, and a shutdown as well for Yuji.
And that's Diamond Yuji getting to the point first because they had bot push, drop the Rift Herald. They were able to get the reset first, get to the right place on the map first. That's beautiful macro from FlyQuest, just setting up in that bot river. CLG try the challenge. It was denied. FlyQuest take the kill, take the dragon, and they are in a very good position this game.
The second dragon of the game. First one for FlyQuest taken. If you look at this replay, it was a nice attempt from CLG, but like you said, it was a good answer from FlyQuest.
And a big part of this is just Diamond. He was able to be in the river. He was able to get the setup, get the initial hook into the ult as, now.
Nice flash,
Tomo,
but he's fighting back.
Sums.
That's going to be the ult used by Prismal as well. Both Sums might have been used by Tomo, but he holds on to his own ult in case he wants to re-engage.
I think importantly, he just holds on to his own life, as that was a good angle for CLG. Now, they did burn a lot of cooldowns. Diamond is trying to wrap around as Breezy. He doesn't know that Yuji's here yet.
Oh, he has no idea. Could have been risky even
He can
planting
guess,
that hook.
yeah.
And that, I think you're right. He guessed that he's there. The flash over the wall from Diamond. He has Hex Flash if needed. Scares off the side of CLG for the moment being, but there's still that attempt from Yuji.
And Spirax is here. He's going to pop the Predator. Yuji sidesteps the death sentence. No blood's going to go down, but this does open up Tomo to walk up, take first brick on the Zeri.
Nice.
Everything's going to plan for FlyQuest.
A lot of gold there picked up by Tomo. Continuing to escalate and accelerate this game for Zeri. Probably can go back, not exactly buy the full item, but getting more of the components and getting towards that Titanic Hydra.
And you can see CLG, so they're trying to answer back by taking the second Rift Herald on the top side. And while all this action has been going down in the bot river on the bot side of the map, Dokla has been utilizing this matchup, has a big CS lead, is ahead in the side, but for CLG, it's almost like, what is Dokla going to be able to do with this game? He's on the Graves, not the Fiora.
Right.
This is the get push and win over time. You aren't this incredible menace in the skirmishes. You do bring some power to the team fights, but I don't think it's enough for Dokla when you look at all the tools that FlyQuest does have in the team fight and all the ways that they can make sure that someone gets bursted out for this Viego to pick up the first reset, just like what we saw in that last bot lane river skirmish.
That is the difficult thing for Dokla. Last game, it was all his. He was the one commanding everything on the map. This game, not so much. It's the Graves, not the Fiora. It's into Gragas, who's just there to neutralize him as well, not necessarily win the lane. He's been doing a good job of that. Even if he's behind in CS, Philip has done his due diligence. He's done his job, making sure that Graves doesn't get out of control either, just holding the line.
And for CLG, I think it's going to be all about attacking this Zeri, as Tomo has that Trinity Force, is up 20 CS. If Tomo is allowed to get to the Titanic Hydra unimpeded, CLG is in deep doo-doo. And you can see the importance that both teams are recognizing around this, with Rosethorn hovering and Yuji also answering. So because of that, once again, no action comes down. Yuji can retreat and take the bot crab because FlyQuest have priority at this point of the game. They're scaling sides, or I should say scaling mid and scaling marksman. They have scaled to the point where they're now the ones getting priority. And this is the issue that CLG were facing with this draft. If it goes to even footing at 15 minutes, this is the result. And this is really good play from FlyQuest, just sticking to their guns, sticking to their comp. I know it's something they did well in game one, but weren't quite able to find victory in that. I think this time around, FlyQuest, a much better chance to take this game is we might see CLG being overextended.
Looking for Prismal, waiting out on the dredge line, but that's a lot of damage on his diamond. He dies immediately with the TP behind, but look at the damage on the Prismal. He still survives. They look for Spyrex's flash. They got that. Now it's Philip in the back line, cut off from the rest of the members of FlyQuest. Can't re-engage. They lost their support, and they can't do anything more.
Really well done by CLG, punishing a bit of greed, frankly, from Diamond, who that Hex Flash didn't pull the trigger on the dredge line. Instead, got chain CC'd, comboed down. CLG now will take this mid lane outer and will also get at least the charge off in mid.
Ooh.
Can they stick around and even take the full turret?
He might be able to. They've got all 5 members here. Why does hell not take that second turret as well?
CLG, that's big. That does open up a lot of space for them. If Triple gets mid prio, it's going to be harder to track him, harder to answer now if you are FlyQuest. Now, FlyQuest are going to trade this out for objectives, and this is something that I really credit FlyQuest for. I think they cross-map really well as a team. A good example of it there is Tomo doesn't retreat, knows that mid-inner is lost either way, so at least is able to get some gold back with the top outer. And now FlyQuest are going to utilize them getting out on the map first to try and control and still take this dragon.
But it is going to be about 15 seconds until that spawns. Be their
Tomo's gotta
second
get
dragon
here.
of the game. Tomo is fairly close. He'll be there by 10 seconds.
Now, Spyrex doesn't have flash on the side of FlyQuest, so if I'm CLG, I'm looking to get on this Vigar any way possible. So I think that's the big target for CLG. Meanwhile, if you're FlyQuest, play the fight slow.
Baby Cage land, Everfrost as well onto Prismal. No follow-up. Wasn't able to get it a little bit more because the minions blocked that Q. Instead, FlyQuest turned their attention onto the tier 1 mid lane, leaving Yuji onto his own, trying to take that. But that's going to be a hook over the wall. They've got the dragon, they've got the turret. All's wins. It is traded for the top lane turret, but this is still a win for FlyQuest.
This was very aggressive posturing from FlyQuest. I know something specifically Diamond's hinted at, said we are good at finding some weeds on the map. We're getting ahead.
Flash.
We sometimes throw it in the mid games. Now
Flash,
Diamond.
and they got the depth charge as well. Rosethorn is trying to get as far away as he possibly can. Using the crest strike, but he's still now golden.
That's a lot of
this
time.
is going to be a collapse from the side of CLG. They got the kill on a Rosethorn, but can they escape now? Doka's taking a lot of damage, but look at Tomo this entire time. Flipping over the wall, leaving Diamond out to dry. With Yuji nearby, it's still a 1-for-1 at the moment. They could re-engage if they want to. They've got Yuji in a position to get the stun on a Breezy, but he's locked down, had to use the ult over the wall to survive. Philip is now in the pit. That is going to be another Event Horizon cutting off the fight from CLG, but the flash in for Breezy to get the pull, and even with the Lantern for Dokla to follow back up and get the kill off of Philip.
And CLG, the patience they're showing at this point of the game, Bad Magical, these are overextensions from FlyQuest.
Yeah.
I think that Philip, walking up there, I know it was an aggressive TPN. That's a big punish, though. Now, FlyQuest, Toko overextends to get the flash out of him.
Getting another flash. These baby cages have gotten a lot of flashes, but unfortunately haven't netted enough kills for the side of FlyQuest.
And I think for FlyQuest, that look on Rosethorn was really good, but Rosethorn bought so much time. His team was actually able to rotate and support him. I think the way that Triple's playing this Ahri, it's been better target selection for CLG. Whoever catches these charms or death sentences, CLG is just dumping all the damage they have into these members, and I don't see the same thing from FlyQuest. I think they're waiting for these cages to connect, waiting for these combos to come in where they land that stun and they're able to execute someone. Just haven't seen enough of it from them, and it's helping CLG reclaim some footing on this map and at least fight back a bit, which they need desperately given the scaling of this game.
203. 203.
That's the stack update.
Stack update.
For Vi. Okay.
Yeah, it's a new thing. You know, you have talent update. I have stack update.
We got Mad Magical working full stack here as our engineer, covering the play-by-play, counting up Vigar stacks.
I can count.
I think any computer science majors, working in the field might appreciate that.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I can count.
Okay, that's good. That said, we are transitioning into the later stages of the game. Baron is now on the table. That is something that I think CLG could start to look for at the moment. A lot of posturing around this bot side river. Surprising given how far away Dragon is.
Might be risky because Triple doesn't have TP, and both TPs are up for the side of FlyQuest. They can easily collapse on CLG if they try to start that Baron.
That's true, but I think that what CLG can do at the moment is set up this 4-1 where Dokla gets pushed in the side, and then try and pull the TP of Philip if you are able to start the Baron. So I think that's why I want to see CLG kind of play or posture around that a little bit more aggressively, and then also just given the timing of this game. As things get late, as things go later, things don't get better for CLG. And I think that CLG is really good at taking risks, pulling the trigger when games start to look grim. I think they're starting to get to the point where they're going to start to think about doing that now. As CLG are actually in a really awkward position. Philip.
Dash away with the Spirit Rush, but it's going to be Rosethorn. They focus onto the jungler. He is certainly dead to Tomo. And with the pick onto the jungler, they can turn to the Baron.
And as you called out earlier, Mad Magical, all these flashes being burned from the Vigar cage, they weren't connecting with kills, but if you rinse and repeat, you can find kills from there. That Smite now off the table. FlyQuest immediately start Baron. They're going to pull the TP.
TP coming in from Dokla. They've got at least some members here. Event Horizon to make sure Dokla can't get into the pit. They missed the death sentence out of Breezy. Moonlight Vigil goes wide as well. They got a lot of damage with the charm onto Philip. It's a Smite fight. It's secured by Yuji, but now they've got to escape. They don't have the front line anymore. Seems that CLG will relent.
And that's perfect for FlyQuest, right? You will trade Diamond for Baron every single time as they manage to slow the fight down, manage to find a front to back. And now with that base, look at the items coming in for FlyQuest. The second item death cap is complete on Spyrax's Vigar. And as this dragon spawns, I think that Baron might be what breaks the camel's back for CLG, because I don't think you can contest for this dragon now. That gives FlyQuest soul point and more resistances, where it makes it even more difficult to get picks. And I think that I want to see CLG start to take some risks, start to really throw wrenches in the game plan, much like they did in the last game where they were able to pull the rug out from under FlyQuest's death ball. CLG need to do something similar again this game, or else they will get blown out and lose against the comp FlyQuest thrown at them again.
Similar to last game, it's not just Tomo they have to worry about. Spyrax is getting to this point as Vigar, where if you do not focus Vigar, he can delete any single member on CLG, since they don't really have a frontline outside of Breezy.
And you can see with FlyQuest taking complete control, Dokla knows that he can walk up. We get a really nice trade on the fill-up as we'll get brought down quite low.
Yeah, that Lord
Both
Goms
characters
helps
will be
him.
healing back up. Yeah, Dokla, I mean, he has funneled himself really well in the side lane. He is farming like a madman this game.
Even if it's not the Fiora, he has done a really good job. 3-0 as well, as a 600 gold bounty in this game. With 2 items, a BF sword is in his inventory, and nearly Flame Horizoning Philip. But granted, that's how this matchup tends to go. We expect the Graves to get these leads.
And this is the rinse and repeat from CLG last game. It's throwing their soul lanes in the same place, trying to get
Nice
picks.
flash and nice explosive
really
pass
well
from
played.
Philip. He gets out of dodge, and look what's happening on the other side of the map. They might have gotten that tier 2 in this top lane, but they are now getting threatened at their inhibitor turrets with the Baron buff still up for FlyQuest.
Really nicely played by Philip to dodge out on that, but these are the consequences of FlyQuest getting the Baron. CLG, they know they can't answer brute forcing it front to back, matching. They have to go for these overload plays, insides, away from the pressure of FlyQuest, and because that doesn't work, FlyQuest end up picking up more on the back half.
They get themselves that tier 2 mid lane in trade for the top lane. They
The
crash
dragon.
The dragon, they crash a couple waves into the base of CLG, even if it didn't get down any of these turrets below threshold. They can set up
This
for
is
a play
spicy.
like this. They've got a lot of damage. They get the flashes again that just came up for the side of CLG, and they're burned once more.
2 of them. Both Ari and especially the Thresh going to be tough to get out. Breezy doesn't have Mikhail's, has stopwatch. So anyone that catches a Vigar cage is going to be in big trouble on the side of CLG. And you can see right now CLG, given the map setup, they don't have Dokla with the ability to go push, buy space on the sides. He's forced to be grouped up, given the strength of FlyQuest at the moment. And FlyQuest, this is exactly where they want to be with this team comp. They are able to take away all the camps of CLG's jungle. With Baron expiring, that looks like the end of their power play, but a 1K gold lead on Soul Point at this point of the game. Once again, FlyQuest, this is exactly where they want to be.
And keep in mind, while CLG, they've already locked themselves in, essentially, into the top 6. FlyQuest are on the brink of getting knocked out. Every single game matters for them. That first loss was one of 2 they can have, with it still not necessarily being in their hands.
Honestly, it's 1-1. They need to win out to control their destiny, and
yes,
really good to see FlyQuest, you know, kind of run back a similar comp with a couple different ingredients and be able to execute it a bit cleaner. They were only a few steps away from coming back against CLG's 1-3-1 last game. This game, they've played around it much better. A big shout out to UG, Diamond working together in that early game to win that first bot lane skirmish. From there, it's been CLG fighting an uphill battle, and as time goes on, FlyQuest just continue to scale even harder than CLG. Tomo, again, has 2 levels on Prismal. They have been giving him everything in the kitchen sink when it comes to farm. And CLG's only hope is Doko Triple making plays on these sides. We'll see if they can find the Gragas.
They're looking for Philip, but Philip is getting really, really tanky
He's
at
a
this
Gragas.
point. It is going to be difficult to kill him quickly, even with that Lord Doms and Infinity Edge. Just don't have the damage to necessarily burst him down. And even with
Yuji's
that,
here.
they don't have the minions take down this turret. So Yuji showing up scares off Triple and Dokla. They attempt to fight on to Philip with a little bit of damage helped out by the fact they have magic and armor pen.
And Philip was going for the catch on Triple, but instantly it gets turned upon him with that charm, and that's a gift over to CLG. That's big. They're going to get 2 turrets now from this push. They even up the gold lead again, and this is once again the last hope for CLG. It is just overloading on the Dokla, throwing both solos, all the gold, all the power you have in the same place, and trying to win out of the skirmish, and Philip gifts it over to them, so CLG get a little bit more breathing room on the map.
That's what I was about to say. If there's anything we learned from that last game, the first game between these 2 teams, is even if you have advantages for one side at the right moment, doesn't necessarily mean they have the game. And while FlyQuest have a lot of advantages, they're looking good in their mid and ADC, they still haven't necessarily cracked open the base. Turrets are dead even between the 2 sides, 6 and 6. Every outer turret has been taken.
And now we'll just have to, it really all comes down to this dragon being taken. I know Baron's up in 30, but you got to believe that all of FlyQuest chips are in this dragon. If they get Mountain Soul, that has to be the game, Mad Magical. I don't think there's any way that CLG can surmount that. As we're seeing FlyQuest, they do have a control board over Baron in case CLG goes for any Hail Marys, but CLG, they're taking total control over FlyQuest bot side.
Nice.
And honestly,
okay, no
some
follow.
chip damage.
Didn't follow up onto UG. I expect that, but they saw Diamond nearby, saw how risky it was. Now, Event Horizon's been used. A nice flip over the wall from Tomo to survive. That's a lot of key key abilities used.
I think this is nice for CLG. I mean, they have the fast track mid. They're preventing FlyQuest from getting control of this bot side jungle. Keep in mind, CLG, they have to take this Mountain Dragon if they want to have any chance of continuing the comeback in this game. As Dokla.
Nice dodges, using the ult too, just to get a little bit of distance, but that's a splash burn. Event Horizon! That's the wombo combo between Nautilus and Vigar, working out well as the rest of CLG are booking it, getting away, kiting it out with Dokla on the other side of the wall. Got a bit of damage, but he has no escapes anymore. And FlyQuest, they don't even care about the soul. They'd much rather have the Baron.
It's a doomsday scenario for CLG, and now Dokla, they just got his flash, his ult. They're trying to chase him. FlyQuest a little bit caught between both objectives. I think they should fully commit to this Mountain Dragon. If they get this, the game's over.
Look at how CLG are posturing. They're waiting it out. They've got a long time to kill, though. 20 seconds until Triple is back up. The blast code from Dokla, he can get over the wall, but it's burning fast. And CLG, they have no way to contest. It is soul for FlyQuest.
Rosethorn can't get in. CLG's only hope now is to pray for an Elder Flip, and we'll see if they can even buy enough time to get there as FlyQuest. They're going to take that newly found Mountain Soul and sprint straight to the Baron, try and take the other big monster objective off the Rift.
Keep in mind, Triple does have TP. Can easily join in. There's a Death Bush instead from FlyQuest. They peel off looking for Dokla, but he is slippery. We have learned time and time again how this player can play and how he can kite back so efficiently and waste a lot of time from FlyQuest.
And I think as long as FlyQuest are stacked as 5, there's really no way that CLG can bounce back from this, especially if Dokla is going to be pulled to help the team. So I think the way that FlyQuest are playing it, even though that's a waste of time burned by the side of Dokla, it's still how they have to play out their team comp. It is an even gold game, but they have the Mountain Soul, they have the power in the 5v5, and they have this old school, full damage, one-shot Vigar ready to go. That's completed Void Staff now. And Spyrax, man, he's going to be looking to hit hard yet again in this game, taking that counter matchup. And these event horizons, I mean, just forcing the flashes, and then FlyQuest, it's opened up windows for them to capitalize on it. Triple losing Flash the last time, that's the reason he went down to the cage the second time.
They've started up the Baron as well. Spyrax is going to do a lot of damage with 264 stacks.
Yeah,
Here's
they're going to pull
TP
Dokla.
coming in from Dokla.
Big TP.
Triple's nearby. They can easily get in the pit, but it's going to be a TP
Rosethorn's
coming
not
in
here.
from Philip. Yeah, Rosethorn is way far away. They've got to do their best to see if they can kite it back and get Rosethorn in the pit. He stole it away! Rosethorn, the hero for CLG. Dokla might go golden, and he both might die in this fight, but they stole away the Baron.
He's going to lose GA. They're going to lose 2, but they aren't staring down a Baron and Power FlyQuest. And we mentioned CLG, they have to pray to get to that Elder Dragon. Stealing away that Baron, that might help them get 4 minutes deeper into the game where they have a chance to flip this. We're going to take a second look. FlyQuest looking to burn this down because Rosethorn is not in the area yet. And they just managed to get him in the pit in time. FlyQuest flip it, and they get punished. Rosethorn takes it.
Oh, he took it with the flash smite over the wall. W hadn't even
Hold on, the
completed.
W flash smite.
Yeah,
He had the
W didn't even
upfront damage combo ready, man.
The W didn't even connect. I think the smite
Who
stole it away.
cares?
Hey,
The
yeah,
Baron
blah, blah, blah.
connected.
Hey, this is true. That's all that matters. They got
Good
it
jungle
onto
mechanics.
3 players as well. Triple, Prismal, and Breezy. That's enough to make sure that FlyQuest cannot easily crack open their base.
Now, they did pull Dokla's TP, so Dokla can't go get extra gold in the side lane, and he also went down, so he doesn't have the Baron. Now, he is on the map. CLG are still going to be stuck on their base, but as we mentioned, CLG, their big Hail Mary now, it has to be trying to win an Elder fight. The fact that they do have this Baron, they're going to be able to catch a lot of waves in the next few minutes, just stalling out the game. It ensures that FlyQuest doesn't get a bigger advantage on the map, and CLG can at least try to get out on the map and position fairly for this Elder Dragon, which will be the next big point of contention, unless FlyQuest really try and force the pace in between, as Diamond is going to catch a Charm.
Charm, but he's pretty tanky at the same time. Just a chip on his shoulder, where he's able to kite back with the team and force back CLG once more towards their base. But ooh, that explosive cast kind of caught me off guard for a second.
Well, it doesn't catch CLG off guard, fortunately for them. Will be both teams resetting, and with a couple big cooldowns burned, even more reason to handshake. Now, I did mention that Dokla doesn't have a TP, but he is in full rage split mode. And really, for CLG, this is needed. This, once again, is their only chance to get back into this game. He cannot move Gragas, especially with the Mountain Soul, but he can try to posture, and this is going to get weird. Triple's TPing to support Dokla. Spyrax is rotating over. Can they catch
Charm on Vigar.
Huge.
Burst of damage, shut down.
Huge.
That is huge for Triple and Dokla to continue this push in the top lane.
And just like that, one over-aggressive maneuver from FlyQuest, CLG solo lanes, they punish yet again. They keep themselves in this game, and now they're looking to pressure these inhibitor turrets as CLG.
Yeah, look at where...
They're looking to bounce back again.
Diamond just ported back, too. So they get 1 inhibitor turret in the top lane. They get 1 in mid lane.
Oh, my
They've got
goodness.
2 exposed inhibitors. CLG, they didn't even need the Elder to make this play happen, but it's now FlyQuest throwing their own Hail Mary inside their own base. They've got the kill on Rosethorn. Dokla is kiting back, looking to see if he can get out of the pit, get outside of the base. He is forfeit, though. They've left them out to dry like they did before.
And Tomo, he wasn't touched in the team fight. Yeah, Charm connected, but CLG were not able to follow up, so the Zeri runs rampant. That was really the issue that CLG were going to come up against in this game. Credit to them on finding good plays in both sides, but it stopped there, and the minions were able to pick up a turret as well. As we're going to take a second look at this. Tomo catches this Charm, but CLG just has no follow-up. They were not able to capitalize on the death sentence goes wide, and that was all the space that Tomo needed to ensure that this base was not going to be cracked any further by CLG. FlyQuest is still holding strong in this game, and they do not want to give up this lead, because once again, it is even on the scoreboard in terms of gold, but given comps, given where we're at in the game state, we think this is a huge lead for FlyQuest.
The fact is, Cubby, there's still that Elder Dragon YOLO Hail Mary play CLG can look for.
They bought the time.
I was about to say, you talked about that before,
inhibitor.
and now
Yeah.
they've bought enough time, and they've exposed 2 inhibitors too. That gives Dokla more free lane to try to pressure FlyQuest away from the objective.
I think a ton of credit is due to CLG, just the fact they are even in this game state. I thought FlyQuest, it was going to be a much cleaner game, much like the last one for CLG, but both these teams, it's been back and forth, best of 2. And CLG is looking to see if they can take that 2-0 as FlyQuest try and even it up as the TP is committed from Philip. And this is some awkward posturing.
Dokla isn't even there, though. He's got his own TP. He can join in if he wants
boy.
to, but they're waiting it. That's going to be a deep TP.
Here we
got a lot of
go.
damage, but Zeri releasing hell right now, and now they've got all this damage on the Rosethorn,
Tomo?
but it's all onto Tomo. They've got the kill on a Rosethorn, but we got to
He's
keep
got
our
flash.
eyes on the Zeri as they continue to wail away at the members of CLG, getting a shutdown as well for UG, chasing off CLG from their Hail Mary play. No longer can they look for that. Instead, they have to look to see if they can retreat back to their base.
And FlyQuest, they're giving CLG no quarter, man. They want all the kills as Tomo. He was attacked, but him going golden and him flashing out was enough. FlyQuest will wipe the fight. CLG is trying to buy time so that they don't lose their base from this. I think they're going to buy enough, and that's most certain. The Elder going over to FlyQuest. They split up the fight beautifully. They found the 5v5. They were able to buy Tomo enough space where he was able to escape, and things are okay for the side of CLG.
It was a great play as we get to take a look at this replay. It's so unfortunate that they get split up, and it's the death ball composition we talked about from FlyQuest winning out.
Look at Tomo, because Dokla and Triple are going to get on him here, but he goes golden right when Triple dashes in. Rosethorn falls. Then the cage comes out to peel Tomo. He uses his flash to get out. Zeri's not able to be touched from there. I think it's really good team play, team fighting from FlyQuest to just make sure their big marksman could not be taken down because of that CLG falls. And now the Elder, when we get out of replay, should fall on the side of FlyQuest.
Yeah, and then just cleaning up the rest of the fight since CLG were on the wrong side of the map. That's why I said it's a matter of if they can escape or not. There's that Elder Dragon for FlyQuest, the one saving grace that we talked about for CLG, now gone.
And this is the Doomsday push. This will be Baron falling. There is no way that CLG should be able to get in this one now. And oddly enough, bounties are now on the board for the side of CLG. I will give CLG a lot of credit for how they were able to fight through this game and fight back, but I think this is the clock ticking zero. The Mountain Soul, man, I thought that was enough to push FlyQuest over the edge. The Baron Steal was enough to at least buy CLG some time, buy them maybe a second chance, but this should be all the doors closing now.
But you know what they say about zero? Zero is theoretically not even a number. It's just a number so close to zero.
And look at what CLG's doing.
CLG have possibly a way to get back into this game, but with the Baron falling to CLG, to FlyQuest, they have to pull the trigger now, and the fact they didn't is now giving more pressure, more of this lead that FlyQuest already held over them, back over to FlyQuest.
Yeah, but this is what I love about CLG, is they are never going to just fall over and roll over and die in a game. You can see Triple Dokla on the bot side just looking to see if they can find inhibitors, and look at how much FlyQuest has to respect this. They're using their abilities to check the jungle, make sure that none of the members of CLG were wrapping around, trying to go for that back door. And as long as they have waves, they should be able to push up cleanly. But even CLG, I mean, they understand how doomed this game is, so really respect them at least trying to look. Wasn't able to work out, and now FlyQuest get their dream scenario. 5v5, pushing down. They got the Mountain Soul, they got the Elder. CLG, they got to seed everything.
They can waste away these structures that stand before them inside of CLG's base, with CLG doing nothing but standing and watching.
They don't even need the Elder inhibitor.
It is a wrecking crew for FlyQuest. They've even got damage onto Prismal on the other side as they look to take down their first Nexus turret, and with a little bit of fight, a nice pull, but it's onto Diamond. All the while, Philip was fighting with Dokla. He's now got a bit of an advantage. They've got a little bit that they have to deal with. That was a nice charm that landed. They got the kill on a Tomo. That's huge, even though they do lose one who's resurrecting in the fight. Look at Prismal and how he's fighting back, trying to see if he can survive, but they got the focus coming in onto Rosethorn. He's sniped down by the Elder Dragon. 4v4 fight with no Tomo. It is all on to Spyrex. Spyrex has to be the hero. He has to be the one to make sure this game concludes in FlyQuest's favor, and that's the damage. That's the re-engage. Big Dokes is forced out with the pull coming in from Breezy. It's not enough. Elder Dragon snipes them all down, even though they look at the back line. Prismal and Dokla are fighting back, but they cannot fight anymore. Double kill, make it a triple kill for Spyrex to end the game and even this out at 1 apiece.
Nice work from FlyQuest, able to bounce back in this series, bounce back in this game, and I know it took a little bit longer than they wanted thanks to the Baron steal from Rosethorn, but ever since they won that bot lane skirmish, I thought that FlyQuest, besides a few mistakes in the side lane and going down to some triple hovers, FlyQuest played out this comp really nicely this game. No Fiora means no wild options for CLG in the back half, and even though CLG were efficient, FlyQuest able to make sure this game went in their favor.
Hey, and that puts FlyQuest at 6-8 in the second half of the round robin. I talked about how they were 6-12 in the first half. They're now tied in wins for the first half of the round robin, and we still have 2 more series for them ahead of us in this Super Week.
And we'll see what happens if Dignitas wins any games, that really hurts FlyQuest's very narrow chances for top 6. But I think that FlyQuest, regardless, they're going into Proving Grounds as a stronger team. I know that they are our 9th seed in the standings, but this team is a tough out. We saw all the trouble they were giving CLG, the 2nd team in our standings, getting closer to Proving Grounds. In both of these games, I mean, we just had 2 40-minute games, Mad Magical, and it was pretty closely contested. Even if I felt like CLG's comp got drastically outscaled, they were still able to make some plays that actually gave them a legitimate chance to win that 2nd game as well.
I mean, honestly, I just think the FlyQuest have looked like a far better team than what we saw at the very beginning of the split.
Oh, yeah, undoubtedly.
And even with their losses, it's honestly, they're losing in some of these games where I'm like, they could have won that. They're so close. They're inches away from picking up these victories. And we saw that in this one. They turned around a very narrow defeat in the first game to pick up a victory and tie it at 1 apiece. We're going to toss it to a break. When we come back, we'll be back with our lovely host of Kangas. Make sure you